several reasons, but first of all, we'll introduce the players. So Acer MMA spawning in the top left as the red Terran on Nimbus, and my Insanity Stardust spawning as the blue Protoss in the southwest. So right away, we can talk about these positions on Nimbus. So Nimbus is a map where you spawn with an expansion in the back of your base, which is really, really cool. It means that we can have a lot of greedy plays going down where you get an expansion even earlier than normal on this map. But also, like, talking about the kind of direction that this map is based, it's not symmetrical. It's kind of spiral based. So the natural, right now, as you see it, in these positions, the natural for MMA is away from his opponent, whereas the Stardust natural is toward his opponent. And for a Protoss, what this means is, hey, this large airspace around my natural, very, very vulnerable. And against an army, it means that he's very, very easy to drop. So immediately we can say that these positions are decent for MMA.
Yeah. Certainly so. And there have been some players in the past that have done some really crazy stuff to try to handle that. Like, this is one of those maps where it's not uncommon to see Protoss players or even Zergs throw up a lot of static defense in the natural to cover against those drops. Even in TVT, like, that's a really vulnerable point in the mid-late game stage. So, like, I don't know what the craziest experience you've ever had on this map was, but I remember in WCS America, Pig Baby played against Tasia on this map, and Pig Baby had something like 7 photon cannons in his natural, just to make sure. And Tasia actually dropped into it and lost the game, too.
WCS North America that happened, and that group was a group of death, actually. I remember, like, there was Hyun, Jaedong, Pig Baby, and Tasia in, like, a round. Was that a round of 16 group?
Yeah.
Like, an absolutely insane group, and WCS North America with those players in. But yeah, the Expo is such a spot that a Terran wants to drop in, that Pig Baby, yeah, when he played in these positions kind of thing, he did produce 7 photon cannons in that position, and the Terran still tried to go for it. So that is just showing.
The idea is that it worked, though, right? Like, if you get a lot of static defense, it can help mitigate that, but it's still tricky because MMA will look for a lot of different places to hit you. And looking at the way that these players have opened, this is a, you know, what we would say is a very strong opening from the Protoss player. Nexus first in PVT is something that I think as a Terran player, we can both agree is something that really, it makes you feel like you're a bit on the clock because the Protoss can really spiral out of control as you head into the mid game off of the economy and the faster second chrono boost that the early Nexus provides you. Now, it's a Reaper opening. He wants to punish the very late Cybernetics core and late Mothership core with this bunker and try to get this Reaper into the main base.
Oh, and I love that. So the SV
that's
was
just
in a
cheeky right there.
Yeah, the SV upon getting hit, he immediately kind of micros it away by pressing like stop building and then repositioning it. But
Reaper gets a probe kill.
This Reaper though, he is.
They greased him up with butter.
Oh, wow! Is he gonna?
Damn!
Wow. So this SV did get stopped, but he stopped a lot of mining here, which is the big thing that MMA wants. And now the Mothership core, he's going for the Stalker before the Mothership core here to deflect this Reaper, but immediately Stardust is kind of under pressure here, and this Zealot receiving a lot of damage, and this Reaper's just going to town.
He could have very easily lost that Reaper. They've kind of got, you know, it comes down a little bit to your opponent's control, but also your own in that case, and keeping the Zealot weak is always nice. Picking that off would be really sweet, but he will have to leave the base soon as the Stalker is coming out now, so he's not going to go for it, is he? Nope. Okay. He should be able to get away. And behind this, MMA's opening up for a factory after his expand, so he can follow this up with some very quick 1-2 aggression.
If we think about this, though, like how this situation went down, like MMA scouted Stardust first, which on a 4-player map, there's a 33% chance of that actually happening. So MMA was pretty fortunate to find out that, hey, my opponent's got a late gateway here, which means he's going for a Nexus. MMA also went for a Reaper build, which...
Yes.
Hopefully you can get a good number of SV kill or probe kills, such as like 3, but that did not happen whatsoever. So that Zealot tanked a lot of damage. He also killed an SCV with his probes, but he did lose a lot of mining. So how even is this game right now? I can't really say who's ahead, but what I can say is Stardust, to say the build kind of worked out against him, handled that exceptionally well. So depending on how much damage MMA can do with these Hellions in this follow-up, you'd put Stardust quite safely ahead in this game.
Yeah, you know, I talk to players like Rotterdam always tells me when he sees like these kinds of builds clash, like with that Reaper, you want to get like 2 or 3 kills to make yourself feel comfortable against the Nexus first, but he really didn't get quite that much. This nice follow-up play.
Stardust quite safely ahead in this game.
Yeah, you know, I talk to players like Rotterdam always tells me when he sees like these kinds of builds clash, like with that Reaper, you want to get like 2 or 3 kills to make yourself feel comfortable against the Nexus first, but he really didn't get quite that much. This nice follow-up play, still, has big potential to get a lot of kills. Okay, well, I think that was what he was looking for, and then some, because he still has that drop coming in as the follow-up. That was nice.
He needed that, and now we look at the worker count at the bottom. So it's 29 SCVs to 30 probes. And while there's no real tech on the way for MMA, what he is doing is getting ready to just keep the pressure off him. So as long as he can keep killing probes over and over and make sure the pressure is not at his base, he can get back into this and very safely. And right now we have a third CC on the way along with his second and third barrack. So he's really, really gunning for some power economy play here.
Yeah, the drop comes in, immediately kills a probe, and he's forcing all of the other ones to run away. Still waiting for him to actually get something that can push this back. He has to watch out, like, warping that Stalker in so close. The Marines are very close to killing it. Stalkers don't come cheap.
Stalkers don't come cheap. I'm surprised he didn't just try and attack that straight over. But here, is he going to catch... Oh,
he's just going straight for the next.
Taking a lot of damage on that. Is he going to get the second Stalker there?
Oh, he kills the medevac, and MMA's like, nah, man, I'm going to leave the Marines in here and cause even more havoc. Kills the mothership core. Not bad. It kills another probe. Getting that extra Stalker would be cash money.
It would be cash money. So what did MMA get from that? So he got 4 probes, he got a Stalker, he got a mothership core.
Did he see the robotics facility during all of that? Like, maybe his Reaper and Hellion saw it first.
If we can look at MMA's vision.
Yeah, so he knows everything that's going on in this game. It's a really nice spot to be in as a Terran, because you kind of pushed him back. And, you know, we talk about this all the time. It's when you're playing TVP, the Terran, especially with this third command center, you have the mules. And even though the worker count looks the same, it's very close. Sure, it's like maybe they're even on mining. No, man, mules will keep the Terran way ahead. And he's still putting on even more pressure.
And remember, there's no like photon overcharge available right now. So this could deal quite a bit of damage. Oh, is he attacking the assimilator? He is attacking the assimilator.
This has really gotten out of hand. Like, the amount of pressure that MMA's been able to put on. Like, he's going to maybe be able to squeeze out this Colossus, but not much else behind it. And the mothership core comes out, but he's still in a very compromising position of, like, well, he didn't have enough energy for a photon overcharge there anyway. 2 Stalkers, very low health though.
Like, I love the way that, oh, and look.
He's in his base again!
Yeah, MMA's dealing damage everywhere. And I mean, there's even a photon cannon over here. So we just talked about the vulnerability of this base. Oh, I mean, oh, is he going to go for the Observer? Bam.
Nice! Okay,
so now another Observer is forced, as I believe there was only 1 on the field.
Yeah,
so
well, you definitely don't want to have to build more Observers at this point in the game. I think he has 1 inside of MMA's base, but...
Is that going to run all the way back home?
Yeah, that's a really important thing to talk about, because he wants to start that second Colossus as quickly as possible, but now you might have that 30-second delay where you're building the Observer instead of your second Colossus. Keep in mind, he hasn't actually started Colossus range, so if, like, when MMA runs up to his base, it's going to get a little bit tricky. The only nice thing here is that he's trying to bait it, and then...
So nicely timed by Stardust, actually. So he must have looked at his clock in the bottom left and just said, okay, so this time is when it, like, detonated last. In about 40 seconds time, I'm going to pull away my probes and just make sure that I don't lose a large cluster of them.
Just smart. It's just smart play from Stardust.
It is smart. But, like, in this situation, so MMA has his third base, like, ready to move. He's getting 5 racks production. He's getting upgrades. Like, his +1 is almost done. But if you look at, like, how late Stim is, he can't be aggressive until roughly, like, the 13-minute mark. Is that a second starport? Wow, a second starport as well. So MMA, he's getting to a point.
He's put on a crazy amount of pressure while still getting all this crazy amount of stuff out.
Like, he's getting crazy amounts of stuff out. But also, like, he's just looking like he's getting ready for like a 150 supply push by the looks of it, you know, and he's dealing enough damage to make sure it stays that way. He's got units sprinkled about on the right side of the map, so he can just make sure, or rather the right side of Stardust base, so he can make sure that there's no units on the way to his base. And with that, no third, you're not walking to my base. He knows that there's an army waiting for him in the natural or in the main, so he can't drop just yet, but that constant threat of a drop happening, so smart. And now, upon these Colossus and units being out here, now he knows he can drop into this natural.
Yeah, there are some zealots positioned with the cannon, so not super easy, but you know, he's keeping his eyes on this army, trying to see where he can go through. The medevacs are going to poke a little bit closer. Not ready to commit just yet, but that scan, I think, kind of says enough with the mothership core there. Like, you really shouldn't be able to get too much done. I think he's going to focus on, like, you want to deny the third base as long as you can, and then just make a really big push. He might even pull SCVs.
Yeah, he could well pull SCVs. I mean, by the way the supply's climbing, if we look at the income tab, like, he just used a few scans there, but still, instead of mules, like 2,000 minerals per minute compared to your opponent's like 14 to 1,500, he's in great shape. Terran is not meant to be outnumbering a Protoss in harvesters, especially not in harvesters and bases at this point in time, but he's doing it in both. He's got better upgrades, I do believe. A third Nexus just started, kills that Observer, and he's just keeping Stardust in the dark. And now we have 104, or approaching 150 supply against just the mere 100 of Stardust. He's just totally outnumbered.
Yeah, everything in this game has just been done so well by MMA. It's really hard to fault, like, try to find like the holes where Stardust messed up, but MMA just really just relentlessly pushing in with a very small amount of units, and I've very rarely, if ever, seen a Terran like do more than one of those drop plays, because he sent something like 3 medevacs worth of units to just build himself that very early advantage, because he understands that the Protoss force can't really attack until he has those Colossi out, until he has those upgrades. But they were just substantially slowed down compared to where you would normally have them in any other game. And he's up to 9 Vikings. There is a very heavy Colossi count. That's pretty much all Stardust has to rely on to keep MMA from just, you know, killing him with, as we mentioned earlier, some type of SCV pull play. Certainly.
Let's see, let's really look at this. So there's 4 Colossi, but it's quite a minimal ground army with it. It's 1-1 upgrade, so it's not got like a huge upgrade lead right now. It's going to be 1-1 against 1-1 pretty soon. MMA is really getting ready for that next stage of the game where he gets an armory, he's getting lots of racks down, but I don't really think it's going to be necessary. I mean, look at this huge army that's marching out across the map here. It doesn't have combat shields, actually. That could be. In fact, no combat shields, and it's not on the way.
Yeah, that's a bit unusual.
Bit of a blip there, but...
Yeah, once you stim, those Colossi, I think, are getting close to... I don't think they'll one-shot him without the... Or, like, two-shot him without the +2 upgrade, but still, yeah, the Marines will die much more quickly. He's going to move in. The Stalkers do blink straight onto the Vikings, but...
The Widowmine actually blew up all the Vikings there with the Stalkers blinking below them, but this is a huge army by MMA still, and a nice spread by him. The Colossi being focused down one by one, and MMA, despite trading sort of inefficiently here, it doesn't really matter. He's the one with an economy, and all the Colossi are dropping here.
Yeah, he's picked off all but one, and it's going to perhaps chase a little bit closer, but MMA could try to dive on this if he wanted to. The important part for him is that he still has all of the leads that he had earlier on that saturated third base. There's still no probes on Stardust's third. Other important things to note, the 2-2 upgrades are coming in. He's still building lots of Vikings. And charge wasn't done for that fight, which really allowed the bio units to deal with those Zealots quite well. Combat shields, by the way, has finally started, which is nice. Almost gets this Observer.
I mean, that Observer Snipe would have been nice.
MMA's just going to dive on this. He's like, yeah, you got nothing. I know what you got, and it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. It's not a lot indeed. 140 supply against the 80. Like, decent upgrade lead sort of for Stardust, but GG is called. And, like, that was a crazy game by MMA.
That was, like, MMA went for, like, you open up Reaper, and it doesn't seem like it's the kind of play that's, like, a Reaper is aggressive, because it's not. But against the Nexus first, you're able to deny a little bit of mining, and it doesn't seem like a lot, because you only kill 1 probe. In most circumstances, like, you want to kill 2 or 3 probes against Nexus first. The map helped out a bit, but it did slow him down just enough to, like, he didn't have his like next unit out, or didn't have his ramp blocked, and the 2 Hellions and that 1 Reaper came back.
6 probe kills then with that follow-up. And I mean, all you needed to do was have those...
I feel like a lot of other Terrans wouldn't have as much stuff as him after going for so much aggression.
What MMA always does so well... yeah,
little cheer.
Yeah, he knows it. He probably suffered that at BlizzCon after losing to MMA back there too. The MMA chant. If you haven't seen it, it's quite adorable when MMA does it. But anyhow, like, one of the things that MMA always does very well is, like, he seems to get a third up faster than any other Terran.
Yeah.
Like, always. But in this game, he also said to himself, like, bam, I'm going to really go gung-ho with this, like, aggression, aggression, aggression. But, like, for the first 8 minutes of the game, that was all he did. And we even saw where he ran a little army into the main with the Widowmine and Marines with a medevac, and he lost it. We were like, oh, well, you know, that didn't go as well as it could, but I guess he killed 4 probes. Then, bam, he's doing the same thing in the natural as well. So MMA had only one thing on his mind for the start of the game, which was, I'm just going to slow you down as much as I can. And
ooh, this game.
Gas first.
Well, you know I'm a dirty mind dropper to Muslim.
You are a dirty mind dropper.
You've watched me play some games while we've been here practicing at the office, and you've seen I go gas first pretty much every game. This tickles my fancy quite a bit, I'd say.
Pontus. I mean, Pontus on my mind. But yeah, like a gas first build, like what do you realistically hope to achieve with this? Well, you set yourself behind economically, but what you can do is deal a lot of damage. But honestly, these builds have kind of went out of fashion a little bit recently. But for that reason alone, they can still do damage because you don't expect it. Like, I remember during the period of time where Protossers were like, they had 4 Stalkers out and a Mothership Core by the time you actually arrived with a medevac and whatever you had. And it's like, oh, Protossers got really good at dealing with this. But since that period of time, and they've, ran out of the meta a little bit, you can probably start doing this and getting away with it. And now, like, it could work. I mean, if you go for a 1-gate expand and you don't pile out a good few, like 3 Stalkers to deal with this, you're in trouble.
Yeah, the biggest like wall to run into for TVP, at least like that I have the most difficulty dealing with, or that, as you said, it's like getting the Stalkers out, and if the Protoss scouts it, opening up robotics facility to deal with like a Widowmine. it's pretty easy to defend. Like, breaking the main base generally isn't going to happen, so a lot of Terran players, like, they'll make a move on the ramp. This game, however, MMA is not going to trickle out units. He's going for a really quick reactor after his first Marine, so we could see him do one of those really heavy Hellion plays while he drops Marines. He could still do a Marine mine drop, but he's got a little bit more of a flexible opening because of this quick reactor.
Okay, one thing I'd like to point out here, Nathanius, is he's totally taken all his SCVs off gas here besides one. So looks like he's going to be going for a fast CC and then Hellion play.
Yeah.
So
okay,
like,
I have actually seen this a couple times.
MMA is one of the guys that can make this work because, you know, what do you fear at this point in time? Well, if your opponent went for Oracles, it's GG.
Yeah, you're done. You just instantly
you got no anti-air, and it's a kind of sad place to be in. But, you know, he's scattered with his SCV. He knows he's not against Oracles, and he wouldn't have went for this if he was. So, like, what does he have to work with here? Well, he's going to try and get out a good number of Hellions, maybe get up to 4. I mean, you can deal damage with 2, but 4, in fact, is he going to be a little bit... I think he's going to wait. Oh, wow. So he's going to do this with 2. And, I mean, what can deal damage to Hellions at this point in time? Well, he's got a single Stalker and a single Mothership Core. There's no Photon Overcharge at this point in time. And while it takes 3 shots to kill a Probe, it takes a good 9 shots from a Stalker to kill a Hellion. So quite a bit of damage can be done with this. And this is a very fast attack by MMA.
Yeah, that SCV actually pulled the Stalker out of position so the Hellions can run into the main. They can get scouting information. They see the Robo, and they can also get to work on a few of these probes. And,
oh, man.
And he kills here, be big.
Oh, actually, Stardust is kind of dancing. Like, he's dancing a lot with the... Oh, this is a lot of messing up. Oh, I mean, how many probes died there? Like...
1.
1 probe? Well played, Stardust.
That really, could have been a lot worse.
He danced like a madman, and like dancing like that, MMA just misclicked, I think.
Yeah, that's a tough spot because those probes are moving around so well, and you're like, well, which ones do I want to target? Then the Stalkers are going to draw the AI of the Hellions if you don't actually click on a probe. So, bit tricky there. The one nice thing for MMA is that this build still gives him a ridiculously fast medevac stim push. Like if some gas first builds, when you do it like this, you're quite flimsy to any type of like big counterplay. If you had 3 gates and a Robo already done, like there's not a lot of unit production. But Stardust is setting himself up for still a pretty like okay mid game. Like he could move into Blink later on and just go into Colossus. Really quick +1 armor, but nothing super crazy out of him just yet. And it's important that he didn't have to lose too many probes, and he can continue to build his tech up because that Mothership Core he wants to use for defense later on as well.
So he's going to get a very fast medevac out, not using the reactor just yet. So is the reactor going to be used for a couple of Widow Mines as well?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Okay, so that lines up pretty well to do like a double Widow Mine drop, which could be cool. Observer flying into the main now for Stardust, and looks like MMA's actually spotted this, so might go for a scan kill on that Observer. He's at least running it away from his base, so he can't see anything that's going on. So nice bit of defensive play there by MMA, just kind of denying Scout.
Yeah, I like to see that. Like, the Protoss player can't always be sure that both orbital commands don't have any energy, so you're going to back off. 3 more gates being added on, though. Twilight Council coming in, and the robotics base, so he could go for... I feel like in situations like this, you usually get the +1 attack, even instead of using the Twilight Council to get the +2 armor, because you want to go for Blink on your Stalkers with Colossus. You could mix it up a little bit, but this mine drop has a lot of potential.
Certainly does. I mean, there's a few units waiting here, but how many observers on the map right now? We have 1 in the main base, or 1 on MMA side of the map, but where's the other one?
I'm not actually 100%
like,
sure.
if there's no observer in the main, I mean, there's a cannon going up,
I think
but
it's
where's
the one,
that going up?
No, okay, he's gonna boost in. The cannon, I think, was being built near the natural expansion. There isn't any detection here, so the mines are gonna burrow.
Ooh,
he needs to respond quickly. The probes are running around.
So that's, okay, if he gets a sentry as well.
Oh!
That one got quite a few, so 8 probes killed with a single medevac. He's going to run across that cannon, so he is born to die, as Lana Del Rey would say. But yeah, these 2 Widow Mines now, they're sat in that main base, and quite unfortunate for Stardust, given that he does have a cannon.
Does he not have a Photon Overcharge for his natural? Because these Marines are going to run up here with Stim.
Whoa, but that's a Colossus. That's a Colossus.
That's a Colossus.
You do not mess with that bad boy. And now, well, that Widow Mine was very close to getting another shot off there.
That could have been disastrous. So, +1 attack is on the way. Blink is coming in. The second Colossus as well. There's now 3 barracks set up, so he can build 2 Marauders at a time. He's adding on a 4th and a 5th barracks as he also starts his 3rd command center. I think that Observer might have seen the SCV moving over towards the 3rd, but I don't believe he spotted that command center under construction just yet. And this medevac's going to move out. I don't think he's in vision of the Observer either.
MMA is so aggressive all the time. Like, that Widowmine drop was really cool, and then he was getting ready to attack, and at the natural, didn't work out because there was a Colossus there against just stimmed, non-combat shielded Marines without a medevac. But, you know, he's really relentless with these attacks, and now we have 4th and 5th barracks on the way, double medevac production, very late +1 by MMA. Like, he's really relying on getting out units rather than upgrades. And yeah, just securing the map here. And while he can't beat Stardust's army head-on, he doesn't plan on fighting it head-on for quite some time.
No, he just wants to continue to pull him around and make things, make life difficult for Stardust. He needs to be careful because he's warping in a few Stalkers defensively, but if the bio clicks on those, they can die very fast. He wants to get rid of that medevac. Okay, good control so far, not losing too much. The Colossus shows up. Whoop.
Gets out of there. Nice micro, that medevac.
And neither player losing anything there, except a little bit of hit points. And
I mean,
he's still watching this third base.
Yeah, like the nice thing for both of them is, hey, I didn't lose a unit to that drop. Hey, my drop didn't die. But with every second bought, that is MMA that benefits from it. And as we can see by Stardust, it doesn't look like he has any intention of going for a third base whatsoever. And MMA really needs to recognize this pretty soon, because so far this has got across the map without really being scouted at all.
Yeah, he's coming over towards that third base now. A few units will spot it on the left side.
Nice.
He's going to see this. Very important. And MMA's like, yep, screw that. I'm gonna move it home. I don't think it's not worth losing. Of course, these Stalkers are going to get this command center potentially quite low.
Eek, eek, eek. Can't run and fight Colossi head-on. You will lose that fight any day of the week. And now...
Yeah, this is a really good defensive position, though, for the Vikings. He wants to move those Colossus, I think, closer towards the right side if he really intends to break this. And this drop even, trying to cut down the pylon tree headed over towards his base.
Like, that's always nice. And I mean, this is slowing down this all
needs to be careful, because Blink is still ready.
Ooh, gets away by the skin of his teeth there. Double Widowmine production being done, 3 Marauders at a time. Marauders are very important at this stage of the game. You have 2 mules available.
Yeah, he's trying to get this. He's really trying to get this pylon too. It's super important to kill this. You can cut off your opponent's ability to reinforce if they really want to attack you. He's
doesn't quite get it. Doesn't quite get it. No. But runs back to the safety of his bunkers. And
gets the Observer. Okay, deny a little bit of vision. There's still another one, so the Widowmines aren't going to be, you know, don't sit there with impunity. And a third base does start up now for Stardust.
He filled up all his bunkers with Marauders as well. Like, that's an unusual choice. But I guess if a Colossi accidentally steps in range and you right-click on it with all 3 of those bunkers, it's a lot of damage.
It's pretty much just dead. Yeah. Very important.
Also, I guess you can kind of you can focus the sentries given they have further range. Also, the Stalkers, like if you micro it correctly with those bunkers, they can deal a lot of damage to anything. And the extra range that you get from being in a bunker, so those Marauders now have 7 range.
Yes, very important to note.
Big deal.
Moves out 1 drop. Some SCVs are actually put in front of the bunkers, getting ready to repair. He scans and does get the Observer, so that's also very important. It means that if he moves forward with like anything like Zealots, they are about as fully committed as you can be, and they will die. So this medevac on the right side, like he's looking for places to apply pressure, and seeing this third base is also very important. The medevac
does lose the medevac, and now these Marines, like taking on a Zealot and 2 Zealots and a Stalker.
And then the Colossi show up. It's like, well, boys, you had a good run.
I mean, one of the nice things for him is he has identified that he is against a player that's taken a third base now, so he can soon take his own third base, even though he's got it. He can go flight over, doesn't have to play defensive anymore, and can start really applying the pressure soon. One of the things I'm kind of worried about for MMA here is...
the upgrades.
Yeah, exactly. 3 armor on the way and charge Zealots. Like, you can't just deal with that with just 1/1 bio.
This is even looking like I can understand certain situations like where Terran players want to, after they push back against pressure like that, they want to go for a big attack, but even if you pull SCVs against this army, plus 2 Zealots will massacre pretty much everything that they get on top of. So this is really going to come down to MMA drawing this game out a little bit longer with pressure plays and good harass, because I don't feel like he can win a direct engagement against an army this big.
The supplies are so close, and I mean, there's no Storm to worry about as of yet, but everything else is pretty scary in this army too. I mean, the raw power of it, a lot of Stalkers to kill the Vikings, a lot of Zealots, and 5 Colossi to worry about. Like, you're going to need a good 16 Vikings or so to make sure that you can chop all of those down, especially with this... oh, he's getting Ghosts. Okay, so doesn't want to fight soon.
EMP can be pretty useful.
This position that he's getting into, Stardust, I mean, it's...
he's quite committed. There's not a lot of sentries, it appears, with this army, so if he gets surrounded, maybe he can try to make a play. Stardust's like, I'm just going to kill you, man. And the Observer, he's been able to spot the army of MMA this whole entire time. He's like, you're going to bring all this stuff to come try and get my army?
This is a huge, huge flank by MMA here.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming in. He's picking off the Colossi with his Vikings. This army is drawing a lot of fire on the top side as well. Very important. His Colossi haven't actually fired at this massive Bioforce at any point during this fight, and this really allows MMA to just stop the gateway forces, and once you kill this Colossus off, there's not a lot of tech behind this. The biggest problem for him is, depending on how fast he can get to Stardust's base, that +3 armor will make all these Zealot Warpins very, very difficult to deal with.
You know, MMA never had concussive shells.
Oh, that's weird too.
I mean, that's kind of sucky when you're playing against charged Zealots and their big job is to get at you.
Yeah, he really needs to kill this third base. Like,
he needs to kill the third base. He needs to kill Stardust because he's down to 15 SCVs, Nathanius.
Yeah, that too. Oh boy. He's got a massive army supply advantage. Those Widow Mines will be crucial because every Zealot on the field is like, you know, Zealots have like X amount of health or whatever, but it's almost like double at this point with the armor upgrades. It's going to take so long for these Marines and Marauders to kill them with that +3 armor.
Well, Marines deal literally 4 damage per hit to these Zealots at this point in time, which is not a lot. He's using the factory to act sort of like a wall here, so that's kind of cool. And now, with these Widow Mines, this puts his army engagement. Whoa, 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 those Zealots.
Yeah, he's taken a lot of damage. He's actually done great splash. And the Ghosts chipping in against these Zealots will actually allow him to kill these +3. The Colossus steps out and walks right into the army. GG MMA. You know,
he's making miracles happen.
I mean, he's one game away from making this potentially the shortest broadcast we've ever had.
Yeah, he is.
I think, like, Stardust, he way overcommitted with his push into MMA's natural.
I mean,
like, he allowed MMA to attack him from pretty much
the top, the bottom.
like 300 degrees. He was like all over that army from this whole like
angles as well. So Stardust, like, it was really his game to lose, threatening with that all-in, and the fact that MMA's earlier build didn't do any damage, like the 2 Hellions, and like they did nothing. The follow-up didn't really do anything either. So Stardust, yeah, he just got a little bit overeager. Like, why fight in between those bases? You're really committing yourself. I felt like if he just ran in, kind of sniped that orbital, and kind of fought in the natural, rather than like leaving yourself exposed between the natural and the third, it would be much better. But, you know, like Stardust can look back on that map and kind of realize, like, hey, it's not that I'm a bad player, like, by any means. I just kind of took a bad fight there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a lot of different ways that can play out.
Gas first again.
Woo, boy, MMA. He's
taking a page out of Nathanius' book here.
Oh yeah, I know. Taught MMA everything he knows about gas first builds a Muslim. I wish
he did. Although, you know, say if he does lose a game, he probably won't leave the game without a GG.
What are you talking about?
Nathanius style.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I gotta admit, I do find it funny when you do it, just because I don't expect it.
You know, it happens only once a blue moon to Muslim.
I'm
very mannered. You only watched like once.
No, I've watched your stream in private a few times.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I just, you know, I don't admit it to a lot of people. No, I do. I like your stream. But anyhow, so MMA, go for this gas first build. So we saw what he did on Overgrowth. So he went for a quick reactor on his barracks, like 0 Marines out. So it was like, bam, I'm going to get out this factory, this reactor, 2 Hellions. Then I'm going to switch into kind of normal play here, where I'm going to do like a follow up with like a Widow Mine drop, but like bio, get out 2 racks and search a fast medevac. But yeah, last game it didn't really do any damage whatsoever. So what is he going to do this game? There's the potential for going for like a Widow Mine drop with like 6 Marines and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to go out of a gas first opening. Like you said, the way that I like to do it in this matchup is without add-ons. Like
gas not count. Like so he's going
super fast reactor. Not even a Marine. Like if you're up against a Zealot Mothership Core Stalker Rush, like that can just kill you.
It's almost as if he gets his refinery a little bit earlier. Because the fact that his barracks finishes when he's at 152 gas.
Yeah, because the thing is, normally when you go gas first, like you're at 11 supply, building your 11th SCV, then you have the 12th queued, and then you build the gas.
Yeah.
So I think he started the gas before he queued his 12th SCV.
I think so too, because there's no way you can get that amount of gas otherwise. And you know, he really, really prioritizes getting those 2 Hellions out ASAP. So his SV scouts his opponent first. It is a 3-player map. It is merry-go-round. Gets a scout like what his opponent's doing here, which is getting fast Mothership Core. Second gas is on the way, so there's no crazy tech available. And this Hellion pressure can deal damage, because by the time you get to your opponent's base, at best he has a Stalker out and a Mothership Core, but yeah, they don't really deal with Hellions as quick as they want to. So we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, at this point, like the primary focus of this strategy, like when you're playing around with Hellions against Protoss in the early game, like your biggest problem is if like he parks a Stalker and a Zealot on the ramp and you can't get by. But the Mothership Core you have a hard time dealing with this because those probes die in 3 shots. So you do need to get 2 volleys off to actually do any damage. And we saw how Stardust handled it the last game actually quite well. But there's always that potential.
MMA takes 2 guys off gas, by the way, upon getting enough gas for the reactor and such. So that's important to note because he prioritizes getting this command center out.
He's trying to draw the Stalker down again.
He is. Oh, this is so beautiful.
He did it. It's very similar to what he did in the last game where he used the scouting SCV to pull the Stalker away. Who's the puppet master?
You are the puppet master, MMA. You are. And now gets into the main much smoother than he did the game previously. And now, in fact, is he going to get gets a few good shots off here? But
yeah, he does want to. He wants to actually kill probes, and now he's actually getting the probe kills. This is quite good for MMA. He's already gotten substantially more than he did in the last game, and considering that he won the last game, that's a pretty big deal.
It's a huge deal. So here, like, MMA uses the SCV to kind of kite the Stalker away because, hey, man, you don't want that bunker getting up.
Dude, it was a great bait, mate. It was quite smooth, and getting out with the SCV is just a nice cherry on top. And beyond this, he still gets to go into this really quick, not slowed down really at all compared to any standard build stim timing.
This is a cool build that MMA's got going. So he gets like the 2nd racks, he gets the tech lab, he's producing 3 Marines at a time from 2 racks.
I feel like because he's playing against Stardust, someone he's played so many times, like he must like know that he doesn't have to worry about a proxy Oracle today. You know, he's like, oh, Stardust hasn't been doing it very much lately. I think I can get away with these Marineless openings.
I don't know, man. Stardust is. Did you forget his nickname that he was once given by?
And he was given it in the Fragbite Masters by Naniwa, so I'll never forget.
He called him Cheese Dust.
Yeah.
Right? Or did he call him Shit Dust then?
It was might have been a little bit of both.
Like, but here, look, he gets the 2 Widow Mines with the reactor, and he's kind of lined it up a little bit quicker than his gas for his medevac. But medevac will start, and he's going to go for that little drop again. Which last game it killed 8 probes immediately, which is a damn good trade. And if you look at the harvester count, 29 harvesters to 39 of Stardust. Yeah. Stardust is significantly ahead in that regard. And he's producing a cannon in his natural again, but the main... Oh, and look, the observer of Stardust actually went to the opposite base.
Oh, he never even saw his main, huh?
No.
That's awkward.
So now we have a small Marine hit squad moving out across the map. There are observers placed. Oh, a 2nd cannon starts. That's cool. Okay, and a 3rd observer even.
He needs that.
Yeah, Stardust isn't taking this lightly now, which, this is smart by him. This is smart by him.
I agree. So the Marines moving up forward, and this is very similar to what we saw before, where he has the Marines up front. He has that really quick stim. Now, stim isn't complete yet as he kills that observer, but he drops the mines, pulls the whole army, forces the photon overcharge, and then just attacks the front with his bio army. But Stardust actually comes down. He's starting to take a couple of shots off of these Marines. He's trying to kite with his Stalkers.
The main Nathanius, where are those Widow Mines?
Oh, okay.
That's one good connection.
And he's like, let's move to the other side. Shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, because he's not in range of anything. Ooh. Oh, that's nice, though.
All right. Just one. Not terrible. He has a medevac here now, too, so these Stalkers are going to have a little bit of a harder time actually killing the Marines as they kite them.
Stim completed soon, too.
Dude, when Stim is done, things are going to get a little bit crazy. He's going to target down a couple of probes, which is also fine. Like, everything he kills at this point, all the units that are in front of him are...
Nice getaway, too.
That could have been ugly.
So 7 probes killed in this attack, and now the harvest
count... And look at the worker count. We're back
45.
We're back
and the next drop again, like... In fact, going for
I think he has enough energy for another photon overcharge, but it's still, like, he can still run in, gun down a couple probes, and then just bail the hell out, because that mothership core, I think, is sitting over the natural.
This build is so cool. It puts the Protoss on the back foot right from the get-go. And here, look, killing probes. And yet again, like, this is a good 3 probes killed just from this little drop. So every little bit of damage. And look, a photon overcharge is forced. A couple more probes, and bam, he's out of there. Like,
MMA is...
Clean execution.
Dude, he ate his Wheaties this morning. He is, like... He's like super buff, and Stardust is like, screw this, man. I am tired of dealing with this, but yeesh.
You know, like the fact that MMA can do this to a very, very, very top-level player with this build that I've seen very rarely.
He's bullying him.
He is bullying him.
They're on the playground. He's like taking all his lunch money. He's like, yeah, guess what? I'm going to take all your probes now, too.
Yeah, you know, like, in recent times when MMA's been playing in WCS Europe, like, the time that he, like... In fact, when didn't he win? He lost against MC in the final one time, but people really have been kind of forgetting about MMA as one of the top Terrans in the world, right?
I mean, he finished 2nd place in BlizzCon.
Exactly, Nathanius. That's what I was about to get to. Like, in olden times, it was like Slayers. And who was Slayer's golden boy? It was MMA every freaking time. He was the best Terran on the planet.
Yeah, he's playing like it right now, too.
And yeah, this is what... Yeah, he is freaking awesome. And, like... people tend to forget about him. But, you know, I think those days are behind us because MMA, WCS Europe champion, and second place at BlizzCon, nobody expected MMA to get that far. When he was up against titans such as Classic, people were like, oh man, Classic's so good, like, that's the end of MMA. But no, look at what he's doing to Stardust now.
Even just these 2 Marines peeled off to the right
look,
side.
See another one. Are they going to get another probe? Bam!
3. He kills. He gets like 3, 4 probe kills, and that's just pulling 2 off because the army is going to push away the main brunt of the drop. So, I mean, MMA's played this series pretty flawlessly so far. Like, I really don't. There's not a lot of things to criticize in as far as his build orders go or his strategy.
His micro, his build orders, everything has been good. Like, you can say the only blip was like the second game on Overgrowth where he kind of microed his Hellions and killed 1 probe. But that was also to I call him Stardust's credit of microing his probes and dancing them around like a madman. It was very hard to do, but he did it as perfectly as he could. Stardust, while he has a lot of gateways available and such, he's still behind on supply. And MMA, he's kind of ready for any sort of attack. 3 Vikings at a time.
With the number of workers that Stardust has lost, like, powering off of this many gateways is...
In fact, yeah, let's have a look at how many workers have died this game.
I think it's like 19 or 20. He's killed a ton of probes.
I'd love to see how many workers have died this game from MMA or from Stardust, because MMA's just been killing them left, right, and center throughout the whole series.
He's done a really good job of just slowing down Stardust in every possible manner. Colossus cleaning up a Marine on the right side. So Stardust is going to try to take a 3rd base. The Viking count, though, continues to climb, and he knows where the army of Stardust is. MMA safely has his 3rd base just chugging away, scanning, keeping his eyes on the army. And, I mean, he might even just be willing to take a direct fight at this point. I
mean, he could take a direct fight, but no reason you being the forcer of the fight. Although, in fact...
Wait, his Mothership Core isn't with this, right? So if he doesn't...
Go for it, MMA. If you kill those 3 Colossi, you've won the game.
His army's in an awful position.
It's an awful position. MMA kind of he was even chasing it down with stimmed units there for a second, and if he
this Viking count is just too damn high to Muslim. He's going to step over. Guardian Shield is nice, but it's not enough. The Zealot forces are going to get on top of this, but once the Colossi are dead, like, the bio just treks everything else.
These are going to be landed Vikings soon too, and oh wait, there's another Colossi. So that next Colossi joins the fray, but it's like, what am I doing here? Gets a few volleys off and dies instantly.
I'll save the day. Nope.
Oh man, MMA, you made this look so easy against one of the best Protoss players in Europe right now.
Yeah, MMA has played. He's played a flawless series. I don't really have anything else to add on to that. Like, I wish I could play this good. I wish I could play as well as MMA does. This guy is he showed up today big time.
Yeah, he really didn't take this lightly, and yeah,
there's a lot of money on the line, so I can see why.
Bam, like 10K first place, and MMA's the kind of player that can do that. And if we can't forget that MMA in his first group stage, he was in a group that was the group of death. It had Solar, had Lilbo, had Daishi, and guess what? He rinsed them all, even against Solar, one of the best Zergs, best players on the planet right now. And like, you know, MMA again, like, I really thought Solar was the favorite of that group, but you know, and favorite of the tournament, but I'm beginning to look at MMA in a whole new light here. Like, he is actually my favorite player, but he's making this game look easy. It's like it was made for him.
Yeah, it's actually almost disgusting, like how well he's been manhandling Stardust in this series. It almost feels
look at that. Oh, and even
no Marauder left behind.
No Marauder left behind, and you know, he's doing these moves that some players get a bit too lazy to make, and that. But no, not for MMA. Like, no move is too hard. And no unit isn't worth saving. So, like, fantastic play by him.
The only thing that MMA's kind of done that feels weird is just his lack of a focus on upgrades. Yeah, like, there's not really been a time where he's had, like, those 2-2 versus 2-2. And this is where Stardust, like, you would think he'd have an advantage, but just the sheer number of units from MMA.
Dude,
look at this army! Like, look at how big this force is coming out for him.
Do you know what this really reminds me? He's
like,
okay. He kind of stopped chasing it as he saw the recall, but then he was like, oh, I killed that, now I'll keep on chasing. But MMA's play really reminds me of Zerg with, like, the late upgrade style. Because, like, he chooses to get out a huge army, then get upgrades. Like, you've seen the Zergs that get, like, 1 Evo Roaches and such.
Yeah.
He really relies on that 1 engineering bay, a pretty late engineering bay at that, and just gets out a phenomenal amount of units and just takes the fights and wins them in that way. So, like, an unusual style that we're seeing from MMA. It's not too far off the standard, but he's making it work, and he's making it look like this should be the normal.
Yeah,
and that's cool.
Yeah, he's making everything. Like he's doing whatever he's doing it so well. It's hard not to think like, why doesn't everybody play it like this? Because this has just been ship shape. He's getting cloaked now for his ghosts. He's getting
where are the SCVs?
His upgrades.
Where were those SCVs? Do you see this antline?
He's bringing his SCVs out.
Oh man, like this feels unnecessary at this point.
Yeah, this is overkill.
This solidifies the battle. And, like, you know, he's got 2-2 on the way. He's got so many upgrades on the way. You could say, like, he's got a good, like, 1,000 resources invested in all those upgrades that are kicking in right now. But it doesn't matter. Look at his army. And those Colossi, they're the only thing that really deal damage right now. And they're getting absolutely massacred.
Yep, the Zealots not able to get through the SCVs.
Concave, Nathan. The concave. Look at this.
Oh, my God. The concave is very real to Muslim. Like, the Zealots couldn't fight the Bile because the SCVs were blocking. It's like, yeah, we killed the workers, but the Colossus are dead. GG. MMA takes a 3-0 in a pretty convincing sweep. Like,